Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. As I've said on videos previously, all of these videos are made on a request by request basis. Everyone that has sent me a question or a troubleshooting item, I try and make a video for, just so that your questions are answered and you can learn how to use every part of your Silhouette and Silhouette Studio. So today we're going to go over tracing an image from Google and also using our library, which I don't really do, but a lot of people really like that feature so they can just pull it while they're still in the studio. So I'll go ahead and take care of that as well. We'll also talk about slicing an image. So if you do a Google image and you just want a particular word or picture, we can pull that out of that graphic as well. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go to Google and grab a picture. Okay, so there's a couple things that you need to know about this. This looks adorable, kind of looks like my dog. So I'm just going to copy this image. You don't even have to save it. You can if you want to. And I'm just going to come in and hit Command V, or you can come up here to File, Edit, and click Paste. Okay, this is pretty small, so I'm going to hold down my Shift key so that we don't distort him and pull this bottom corner all the way up like this. Alright, so now we have a pretty good image. We want to get rid of all of that background, so we're going to go over here to our tracing tool and hit Select Trace Area. And then we're just going to hold down our mouse and run over the entire photo. And I'm going to pull this side out a little bit because I want to make sure to get the rest of that foot down there. So he looks pretty good. I'll probably turn my threshold up a little bit, smooth him out a little. You want to be careful when doing this with words because the threshold will make it thicker. So sometimes it can make the words not look the way that they're supposed to. Alright, so I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm going to go ahead and trace it. And so that traces this. I'm going to select that and go up here to my color palette and change the color so you can see he looks pretty good. The other thing you can do on a solid image like this, let's go back to our tracing tool and do Select Trace Area. And we're going to go over him again. And I'll up the threshold just a little bit. You can mess with despeckled, but it doesn't really do anything for this solid of a print. The other thing that you can do is do Trace Outer Edge since there is nothing in the middle. So do Trace Outer Edge. And we'll go up here to our color palette and change that color as well. So as you can see, they look pretty much identical for those two pieces because there's nothing on the inside. So when you trace the outer edge, of course, if you have any kind of filament in the inside, any kind of graphic in the inside, it's not going to trace that out. Alright, so there's our tracing. Now, we also had someone ask how you put something inside of a shape. So let's just go ahead and do that. We can put this in here. And let's go ahead and do text first. So you can either come over here and click your text tool, or you can hit T on your keyboard as a shortcut and just click anywhere and start typing. So I am going to type my dog's name, and you can select whatever font you want. You go Harry Potter with it, or just a normal one. That one looks fine. Okay, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and change this color to black so that I can see it. So we're going to put him on top. Okay, now that you can do one or two things. You can cut this out in whatever color vinyl and then cut the word out and then paste it on top. That can get kind of thick depending on what kind of design you're doing. So we're going to select both pieces and we're going to go down here to our modify tool, and we're going to hit subtract. And that is going to subtract whatever was on top out of the graphic behind it. The only thing that you want to make sure is that once you subtract it, that you select all where the word is and you group that together. If you don't and you go to move this, you're going to miss your inside pieces. Alright, let's undo. And I'll show you again. So we're just going to put our mouse over both, go over here to our modify tool, which is down here, and hit subtract. And that subtracts out those letters. And we're going to select this area, which also selects all of the dog, and we're going to right click and group that together. So now he's one piece. So now whenever he gets cut, just kidding, he's not going to get cut. Whenever he gets cut, it'll actually cut those pieces out, and that will just be a part that you actually weed out. So the only difference with this is, of course, this is going to be whatever color your background is. So if you're wanting this to be two different colors, you will need to cut it in two different pieces. So that's one thing there. Okay, so let's see. Other thing about tracing, let's try and find something with words. So let's just say, oh, it's just doing dog things today apparently. Okay, so this one. So this one is pretty intense. That's going to be too intense. There are some things that you just cannot do when it comes to tracing. It's just going to look too distorted and it's just not going to look right. Let's see. We can try this one and just see what we get. Let's just discover together. So we're going to paste this in here. We're going to make it bigger so we have a bigger area. And we are going to go to our tracing tool right here, select trace area, and run our mouse over this. Okay, so now here's the problem whenever it comes to black backgrounds. It is going to try and select the darkest piece. So if that's how it works, then it's going to, when you hit trace, it's still going to do it, but you're going to have this piece on the outside. So it's done all the middle part. These little pieces, if you really want to go through and try and clean up something that you traced, so the words actually came out pretty good. I'm pretty happy with those. These look a little rough, but it's not terrible. So you're either going to have to weed all these little tiny pieces, or I would take our eraser tool over here on our left and I just literally clicked it one time. The eraser tool is not my favorite in Silhouette. It is kind of a pain in the butt to use sometimes. As you can see, I literally clicked one tiny little dot and it took that long to process. So only do this if you have the time to really go through and delete all the things. Okay, so you get that. The other thing is the outside. Now we can, let's see, so whenever we change this color, it's going to go back to its original color. So so I double clicked on the image, which shows all of our path tool or outlines. So we're just going to click this one, or click over here. Let's see. Why isn't my direct selection tool popping up? Here it is. So just double click and hit delete. And you see that's now coming down because you deleted that top corner. Just come over here, click delete, scroll down, click on this one down here, delete. Alright, so now our outline has been deleted. And I just went back here and selected my pointer again. So now when we go over here to our palette tool, now it's going to be like this. So there's still some cleaning up that you can do, of course, but whenever you send it to the printer, it'll still, even though it looks black in the pieces it's not supposed to, it still is creating that line, so you'll still be able to weed out the pieces that you don't want to be black. Like I said, only do this if this is just absolutely the only image that you can find and you have to have that particular image. Otherwise, you're going through a lot of work. Once it's done though, save that and now you have that piece done forever. So if you ever wanted to use it again, no problem. Alright, so I'm just going to delete this original right here. Okay, so that kind of looks into a little bit of the different ways to trace. So now let's save this to our library. Oh, real quick. Okay, let's see. Another question that we had was if we just wanted one piece or we wanted to take out the words. So if we just wanted their medicine is love, right? So everything, all of this is pretty much one piece. I think you can get a couple of pieces out of here. Yeah, everything's just kind of one piece. So how we're going to do this is we are going to go over here and we are going to take our slicing tool. It looks like a knife down here. And I'm just going to hold down my shift key and I'm going to click right above the there. Just clicked one time, I'm not holding it down, and I'm just taking my mouse and running it across. I click again and it processed and now you don't see your red line anymore. So I'm going to go back here to my select tool and now select this, and now this is taken apart. So now we can select all this guy and group it together, or Control or Command G, depending on what computer you're using. Select all of this and pull this guy up, group this together, go over here to our palette, let's change this to this color. Okay, now if you, let's make this a little bigger. Remember, we're holding down our shift key so everything stays in proportion. So if you want to get rid of this, even though it is going to cut correctly, but you are just, you don't like it, you're super annoyed, you want to be able to see how it's going to cut without all of the fills in here. So let's ungroup this and let's just select this L. And we're going to go over here to our modify and hit subtract. And that's going to subtract those pieces out of there. So we just select all of it and hit subtract. Select everything and hit subtract. And like I said, it's just kind of so that you can more so see what it's going to look like, because it will cut out those pieces. And that was wrong. Let's hold both of these. There we go. And hit subtract. Whoops. Try this again. There we go. So what happened just a second ago is I actually selected not only the piece inside the E, but also the dot up here, and it messed up what it was trying to do, so it thought you were trying to subtract into just being the dot. So make sure it's just those two pieces, subtract. Just these two pieces, subtract. And you can't do, unfortunately, undo. So when you hit the wrong button, just hit undo. Command Z or your undo button up here. It is your best friend. Subtract. Alright, so now you have an idea of what it's going to look like now. And then you can just take this. So let's go ahead and group our there together with our point, as well as our medicine with both of our points. And our is with both our points. These are both our points. Okay. And then we'll go ahead and select all of our love and go ahead and group that together as well. Now we kind of covered this in the last video, but just a little refresher that if you wanted to change the color of one individually, you can now select those individually. And then just remember to move these, select these and move them off to the side. and then you can go and cut each piece. This is actually still in our view, so this would actually try and cut, so we just need to move that off to the side, or select this piece and hit no cut, because we don't want that random little piece to cut right there. Alright, so that kind of took a look into slicing, so you can see how to literally take a piece from another piece. Like that. Now, as far as this goes, this is the same with shapes and everything. So let's go ahead and do one more thing, because I had someone specifically ask, I think it was how to put Texas into a heart, or how to put heart into a Texas, so we will put Texas into a heart because I can't remember, but it's the same process either way. So I just clicked on the first one, and I am just going to copy that image, go over here to silhouette, and we're going to go ahead and get into a new design space here. Alright, so we still have our other one up here. We're going to grab a new one, and we're going to hit Command V, which is paste. I'm just going to leave that guy right there. And then I'm going to go back here. I'm just going to type in part. And this one looks good, easy to trace, so we're just going to right click, copy image, come down here to silhouette, and Command V or paste. Alright, so let's move this guy to the side, and we'll go over here to our tracing tool, select trace area, and pull this over. I'm going to pull my threshold up just a little bit to smooth it out. Then I'm going to hit trace. Like I said, you can also hit trace outer edge. That will work as well. Alright, so here's our heart. Let's go ahead and change this color to mint, or green more so. Alright, let's bring our Texas over here. Make that guy a little bigger. Alright, and then for this one, so because this is has such a thick outline like this and it's black, I'll show you. This is actually going to try and trace it to where the center has nothing in it. So that's another option as well. So we pull this up. So when I trace, it's going to trace this. So then, of course, the middle comes out and you're only going to have the outline of Texas. For what we're trying to do, though, let me go ahead and just delete this guy. For what we're trying to do, I need the entire shape to be a fill. So I'm going to select my trace area, pull it over my Texas, and I'm going to do over here what we learned before, our trace outer edge. So now it's just going to be the outer edge, and now I can fill in this guy. I'll probably make him a different color. Alright, so now I can fill him in completely rather than just having an outline. So I'm going to go and delete. Just kidding, won't delete. I'm on the wrong tool. So if that's ever a problem, if something's not working on the keyboard, come over here and make sure that you have the right thing selected. So I'm going to go up here and select my corner tool, and then now, as you can see, it's selected with the box, and I'm just going to hit delete on my keyboard. Okay, so I've selected Texas. I'm going to take this right corner, hold down my shift key. I'm going to make this guy a little smaller so that he'll fit into our heart. Alright, so I'm going to pull him down here, pull our heart over so we can see. Okay, and then I'm going to pull this Texas inside. You can hold down shift, make him a little bit bigger. You can select both pieces, go up here and center him vertically and horizontally, so now he is perfectly in the middle. Okay, so then we're going to select both. We're going to go over here to our modify tool, and we're going to hit subtract, and that is going to subtract that right out of there. Now once this is done, this heart has a Texas in it, so if you want to do another one, it's better that you just go get another heart or create a second one, because this has created the paths and everything for it. But just so that we can know how it goes both ways, I'm going to undo everything I just did. So I'm sitting here and hitting Command Z on my Mac. Alright, now we're going to pull this guy out. We're going to select this guy, hold down shift, make him smaller, and then bring Texas back over here, select, hold down shift, make him bigger. Okay, and now my heart's going behind. So I'm going to right click my heart and I'm going to hit bring to front. So now that it's on top. So let's make this guy a little bit smaller, and we want to put him right here. All right. So then we're going to select both with our heart on top. We're going to go to the modify tool. We're going to hit subtract. And now that is going to weave just like that. So whatever color, apparel, or wherever you're putting this, that color is going to go show through on this heart. So like I said, if you want two different colors, you need to keep that heart as is and print it separately so that you can put the different color on top. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this again. Subtract. Okay, now I want to save this so I can come back to it later. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to go to Save As, and I'm going to save to Library. This is going to pop up. It has a little Untitled down here. Not very useful that you can actually tell where to rename it, but it's down here at the bottom, and we're going to name it Texas with Heart. Okay, and then I'm just gonna, and this is gonna save in my user design, so that's a default, so I'm just gonna hit OK. But I want to go to my library, and I want to have a different folder for all my states with hearts. So I'm gonna go up here to Library, and I'm gonna right click, and I'm gonna hit New Folder. I'm gonna name this States with Hearts. Okay, so now I'm going to go back over here. I'm going to take this guy, and I'm going to drag him. I'm going to drop him in my new folder. So now he's no longer in my user designs, he's in my state with hearts. So that way I don't have to go through the process of deleting, going back into my library, and doing this again. Okay, so then the last thing that we're going to talk about is I'm going to create a new document. And then I'm going to go to File. I'm going to go to Import Library. Oh, that's not right. I'm going to go to my library over here. And then I'm going to click this guy twice. And that's going to open him up. The other thing I want to show you real quick, let's go back on this one that has so many different pieces. So we've put so many things on this one file. So I just want to save my dog with the Russell in it. So I'm going to go over to File and Save Selection. So I can save this selection only, just whatever I have selected without saving everything on this mat. So I'm going to hit File, Save Selection, and I'm going to save this to my library. I'm going to save him as Russell. And I'm going to right click on my library and make a new folder that's dogs. And then I'm going to save him and hit OK. So now when I go to my library, I've got my dogs folder, I've got my state with hearts folder, I've got my user design folders. Alright guys, well that's it for today. I will be posting more of your requests within the following days, so come back and take a look, like and subscribe, and go follow our Facebook group. It's facebook.com/groups/BellaShareTutorials, so you'll know when new tutorials are popping up. Alright guys, thanks and have an awesome day.